Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Leah. I'm a collage artist. So last weekend was my art show, the one that I've been talking about in videos for what feels like months. While at the show, the one thing I wasn't expecting was to see so many amazing collage artists. Although we were definitely the underdogs there, I just was so excited to see people that live near me that are so into the same thing that I was into. And that got me thinking, what if I did a video about artists that really inspire me? I wanted to start off with showing you some of the other exhibitors and their amazing work. Although we're all using paper, there was just such a range of how you can use paper, and I think that that was just so amazing to see. There's some people working in 3D pieces, and there's some working in flat ones. Some in like cooler tones or simpler or bright ones, fashion magazines, vintage magazines. It was just so interesting to see how many different ways you can use the same paper. Sometimes when I'm not ready to create and I just want to get some inspiration, I looked at other collage artists and I wanted to introduce you to some of my favorites. So being a collage artist is a fairly new title. It only happened when the printing press was invented and mass media could be produced. On that note, I think that collage could have been done in the past, maybe people ripping up old paintings, but it wasn't really that prominent at all, really. I'm gonna start with my favorite artist, and maybe you've heard of her, but her name is Kruger. And she's categorized as a feminist postmodernism artist. She really is the one that inspired me to take my art to the next level. I just find all of her messaging to be extremely relatable. I have her merch, I'm just in love. And the craziest thing about it is that she's actually still alive today. She's only 78 years old, which is just crazy to think, right? Like, it's crazy with all this history of art that collage is so new, that people that are the big names are still alive today. Why I think she's really relatable for me as well is because she started in graphic design and wasn't really sure about how to use it and used those skills to make art. My favorite artwork of hers is called Who Owns What. I have the tote bag and the shirt. I believe the original is at the Tate Modern in England. I've seen it a bunch of times there. Her main messaging is around consumerism and mass media, sexuality, etc. She's really funny to listen to in interviews, and I highly recommend you go check some out. I will link some below. But she just has this really interesting way of thinking that I think would interest other artists as well. One of the things that she is the most famous for is her lawsuit with Supreme. So apparently when Supreme was starting their brand, they handed their graphic designer the book of contemporary artists, and one of them was Kruger. He basically ripped off her style. But when she was asked about it, she said, I don't own the font and I don't own this, right? Like, she was basically saying, like, I don't own this style. This art is not mine. And then crazy, another brand tried to make something similar to Supreme and they went and sued them. So it's kind of funny to think that they knocked off her things, although she doesn't believe so, and then went from there and they ended up suing someone for the exact thing that she did not do to them. She's carried out this very bold style for basically her entire career, and in 1978 she showed one of her most famous pieces. It's called I Shop, Therefore I Am, which is from the famous phrase from Descartes, I think, therefore I am. After releasing this piece, she also released one called Your Body is a Battleground, and this one is about reproductive rights, and I just think it's very relevant still, which is really cool to see. Her work has just been timeless. I just think in the collage community, she has definitely paved waves for us to use pieces from Life magazine, for example, and really shows an interesting take on what it means to be a collage artist. I definitely resonate with them, and I know I've said this in the past, that I just feel like artists sometimes are a vessel for a message, and that's definitely how I feel in my art. Within all of my pieces, I try to have a vivid message, and I think that hers does as well, and we definitely both have a graphic design background, so she's definitely someone I look to for inspiration. The next person that really gives me inspiration is Hannah Hawk. She is the only woman in the Dadaist movement in Berlin, and I think that that's super cool just to begin with. She survived through World War II in Germany and just lived outside Berlin and just collaged through it and made really interesting critical work on society, and is very well known for her work on the New Woman, which is this concept of basically what we are today, I guess, the working woman who sees herself as an equal in society. This is something that was critiqued during her time while she was alive. She was born in 1889. She was born in 1889, so you know, that was quite a long time ago. Although our styles are very different, we still have the same message that we're critiquing society and our gender roles within it. She said, "There are no limits to materials available for pictorial collage. Above all, they can be found in photography, but also in writing and printing matter, even in the waste products," which I thought was just really interesting. She definitely used like anything she could get her hands on. Back in this day, you have to think like everything was kind of a societal critique and kind of an interesting piece of media. It's interesting to look back too, because although we call it collage today, a lot of these older excerpts call it photo montage. Really only called it collage when there was text in it as well. I think there was like this weird little time burst where you can see that there's an overlap. Collage is from a French word as well, so maybe that had some influence on it. I haven't really been able to find any resources on that exact transfer from photo montage to collage, but if you know anything, let me know in the comments because I would love to know as well. I also love this quote by her. "Most of our male colleagues continued for a long while to look upon us with charming and gifted amateurs, denying us implicitly any real professional status," which I just think is really cool that she was saying these things 100 years ago. Now you might be thinking the next person is gonna be Picasso or Braque, right? Well, that is a no for me. I really think, and this is a personal opinion, that he probably saw other people doing it and was just famous at the time and started doing it. I don't think that there is a really strong correlation between his cubism work and his collage work. A lot of people say they see it, but I just don't see it. I think that he probably ripped off someone else's work that he saw. You know, this guy was going to places all the time. I'm sure both of them saw it and really thought it was interesting, picked it up and did it. So we're not talking about them today. Someone who I do think it was Henri Matisse. I think that his work directly correlates from paper to painting. And he talks about how paper was perfect for him once he got older, which I thought was just kind of a beautiful idea. And it made me happy to know that he was collaging in his older ages and was able to. That's something that I've worried about, is just like the idea of time and not being able to do something you love to do. And I love that he said that he never felt like he could fully express himself until he found collage. Okay, so those are three artists that I definitely find a lot of influence in. But there's some that I think that deserve it, which are people who are alive. So now that we've seen people at the show, some that I love to pull from history, I also wanted to show you some resources. You can tell all the love from the sticky notes, but this book is called Cut That Out. I swear I've read this book so many times through. It is a book that is released every few years, I think. It's by Dr. Me, which is a collage group of some sort. I follow them on Instagram. I honestly don't know that much about them, to be honest. Anytime I'm looking for a new artist to follow or look through, this is where I head to. It's chock full of just incredible art. It has little Q&As about the artist and the work. Maybe you recognize this one. I think this is the Tame Impala. It is Tame Impala's artwork for their cover. I love this book, and I think that all of you should get it and read it, to be honest. I love it. There are other additions to this. I do have them somewhere in my home, but I cannot find them right now. I will link it below. I highly recommend having this book anytime I feel alone and I just want to see some really cool things. I open it up, I get some inspiration. I swear that this piece I saw in here was what got me thinking about my negative pieces. It just clicked to me that you can make something beautiful out of nothing sometimes, and I love that. Okay, so I know this was a little bit of a different video than usual. I would love to know what you thought. Do you like learning about collage? Let me know. I have so much more knowledge. I would love to do one on the history of collage, talk about other artists. Maybe there's other artists that you want me to talk about. I would love to get in depth with that. So that's it for collage school today. I hope you like seeing artists that are local to me, some from the past, and some that you can look into for the future. And I'll see you next week. I hope you're inspired to create something amazing today.